Sorry about the delay, everyone. I see Ty was engaging with people in the comments though, so that's nice. He's giving the episode history.
I see.
I just heard myself. I don't hear myself anymore.
Don't hurt yourself, Matty.
No, heard.
Oh.
Heard, not Clint Hurt.
Mm-hmm. So you're corralling yourself into the right area.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, what's up? As we wait for people to roll in.
Yeah, roll in, everyone. Ty and I got very sidetracked yesterday, Griff.
Did you?
Yeah,
I wasn't able to listen to this one.
No, I can't. If I could remember what we're talking... Oh, yeah, we're talking about Dollar Tree. But we don't have to make that like a multiple episode thing.
Oh, okay. So we'll just U-turn on out of that topic.
Yeah. We talked about U-turns as well.
Good.
We talked about how people should wear seatbelts.
I wear seatbelts.
What, multiple?
I wear my seatbelt.
You got like a racing seatbelt?
Wait, are you saying, when you said you people should wear seatbelts, what were you implying? Were you saying Americans don't wear them?
I think you may have misheard me.
Oh, well, we'll go ahead so I can hear you correctly.
I think I just said people should wear seatbelts.
Oh.
I didn't say you people.
No, I agree. Saves lives.
Does. Kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you everyone for joining. Don't be afraid to... It would be cool if you commented with like a timestamp of a play or like a question about the film so that you get, as a live audience, more out of it. Or we can just ramble our way through. Although the planning tonight, fingers crossed, should be better, but we'll see. That's famous last words. I may have just
we have a guideline, not a script. So please, if you're watching live, take advantage of that and throw stuff out, and we might be able to go down a different route. Take a different turn.
Yeah.
A U-turn even. I did it. I went for it. Had an opportunity and I took it.
You created the opportunity, I think.
Yeah,
that was quite devious.
You can't go through a door threshold if you don't first open the door, right? There's creating opportunities and then taking opportunities. So
you're sounding like a coach right now. Yep. Tell a friend we're live. Tell another friend that we are live. Tell a family member that we're live. Subscribe, like the video. We should have 15 likes in the video right now. Let me check how many likes we have. Oh, what do you know? 3. So some of you are BSing right now. I don't want to name names. I don't know the names, but because it doesn't show me. However, it's going up. It's going up. This is good. Like the video, subscribe, and comment if you haven't. Thank you very much. Okay. Griff, is there any other business? Surely something has happened to you.
Oh yeah, I had to get a new headset. So as you can see, I've got new gear on my cranium. And the reason why I had to get a new one was because I broke it. I stepped on it like really hard and I bent the audio jack. So yeah. Big oopsie.
Yesterday, Griff, I couldn't find my headphones, which I don't use to speak as a microphone, but I couldn't find them. I thought they were in my bed, so I went in at like 3 a.m. my time, rummaging for the headphones, woke up my girlfriend. She wasn't very happy. She was wondering why I was rummaging around the bed with a torch while she was asleep. And then today I found them in my dressing gown pocket.
Wow.
So that didn't go down too well.
So I
Are you
didn't know
familiar
you
with
guys
dressing
had.
gowns?
Yeah,
Is that where we're
but
going with this?
I don't think as familiar as you are. You know,
Whoa,
we'll let that be, which is fine.
whoa,
I'm
Griff.
just more, yeah. Oh, thank you, Chris Otto. Very kind of you.
Great question as well from Chris Otto. Thank you. We massively appreciate that. Had a lot of kind people recently, so that doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, it goes noticed. Thank you. If Seattle takes Jalen Carter at number 3 overall, what position would you take with the second first? We will be doing draft stuff. This is the Tape podcast, but Chris, given your kindness, you definitely get an answer there. Griff, do you want to go first on that, or shall I?
I'll go first because mine's fairly quick. If Brian Branches go there, I'd probably target him. If not, I'll go for one of the receivers. It really depends on who's there, right? But receiver or Branch, who is like a slot corner extraordinaire who can do everything.
Are the receivers that good?
I mean, I feel like this class is kind of controversial, but I really like Addison. I kind of see like Calvin Ridley.
What school does he go to? For those who don't know, like maybe me.
USC. He reminds me of like
Go Trojans.
like Calvin Ridley and like a supercharged Robert Woods. Like if Robert Woods, if you played with his sliders in Madden a little bit to make him a number 1 receiver.
And you know what? That sounds like a receiver who would suit and complement not only Seattle's receiver room, but Geno Smith's skill set.
Right. And Waldron's desires too. Like a lot of things there's a confluence here of desires.
There you go.
But I like Quentin Johnston too, and I like Jackson Smith. Can't pronounce the rest of his name, so I'm not going to try. I should learn how to though.
Is it in Jigba? No,
it probably is.
I'm not sure.
Jigba.
Again, we're not ready for the draft quite yet. My answer, Chris, would be, I mean, it's a very boring cop-out one, but best player available. I feel like, and Seattle does that to a degree, right? But like at 16 overall, or wherever they pick, but that kind of mid-round deal of the first round, there's like the back half of the players you'd probably rate high enough to take there, so you just take the remaining one. And so I can see a scenario where, you know, maybe the best interior offensive lineman's on the board, and then you get a mauling kind of dude there. I mean, that'd be cool. Yeah, the only thing I'd say is I doubt Seattle takes cornerback, but if it's a kind of star type, like Griff spoke about Branch, where you're envisioning him playing in the slot, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, then that's a different equation because it's sort of like how Seattle's planning to use Jamal Adams. Like this week, actually, Clint Hurtt said how their plan for Jamal Adams was to play him at nickel for a bit. And he said they're going to try things out with Abram in a similar mold.
Which we did see some big nickel this week with Abram in the place of Kobe.
We did. And that is getting into the podcast. So hope, Chris, that answers your question. Again, we will probably revisit similar types of queries as we delve into the draft. And we'll definitely, well, me personally, Griff's already done his work. I will look into that more. But yeah, I'm happy with my answer. Right. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where we are reviewing the tape from the Seahawks-Jets game. Seattle won the Week 17 matchup, which means there's some positive elements, but also we'll look to answer questions of like, why did the offense have a complete like lull period in the entire second half? Was the defense that good? Can Seattle sustain this? All of that good stuff. So, Griff, where do you want to start? Offense, defense, and before that, actually, better question. Professional podcast right now. But how was this like a complete game, or how are you feeling about the team?
It felt as close to a complete game as they've had in a while. I think the defense played really well across the board, especially after the first quarter or so. And then the offense, the run game really got going this game, which is great. There is good process in the passing game. Not as the results didn't quite match it though, frustratingly. They didn't quite connect in some areas where they should have, but it didn't feel like a game where Geno, didn't have a chance, with the protection or like he was pressing, kind of a word choice we've used in the past. It just felt like he was in control, and they mostly achieved, like they were getting the looks they wanted, and that even though the results weren't crazy, that differs a lot from like the Chiefs game and the 49ers game where they weren't getting the looks they wanted. There wasn't a lot to execute. So it's kind of like half the battle is the process being there. So I felt better about it this game. So yeah.
And the second question, offense or defense? You're a powerful man right now.
What was the second question?
Would you like to start with the offense or the defense?
Oh yeah. Let's start offense. Let's start
okay.
off.
Okay. Perfect. Right. So offensive wise, just from a wide standpoint in terms of like a more macro level, even though it's a small sample still, but extrapolating what we saw, the Seattle offense in the last 2 weeks has been very run heavy compared to the past before that. So where that shows up is in their pass frequency over expected, where in weeks 1 to 15, Seattle was basically passing more than they were expected to on every single down and distance. But the last 2 weeks, Seattle on 1st and 10 have negative 6% in 1st and 10 situations, so running the ball a bit more than they'd expect. In 2nd and 1 and 2 situations, minus 30% pass frequency over expected, so really running the ball more than you'd expect. And then 2nd and 3 to 7, minus 24%. So that kind of second down split of that sort of suggests, they're looking to run the ball more. That part of that's to get more balanced on offense. Part of that's to try and get the run game working. But also, Griff, they're compensating for they're min-maxing, as you'd call it.
Yeah, I mean they're responding to the play and the health of their roster. There's been a little bit of a downward trend of the protection. That on top of that, Lucas goes down, so you're putting in Stone Forsyth. Lockett has been out and or not 100%. And Geno has not been. I mean, we've spoken a lot about Geno, but he's not been his best. I think we could all agree there. So all these factors combine, and it only makes sense to try to shrink the game plan a little bit. You also don't have Will Disley, so that's and Marquise Goodwin. So there's quite a bit of target sponges that have gone down. So all that points to let's slow the game plan down a little bit. You really need to get one of the best ways to get better at running the ball is when you need cohesion, when that's the problem, is reps, and especially live reps. So it's been really important for Walker to try to just rep out like inside zone from gun. That's a feature of the offense again. It's just it seems to follow from them just reacting to what's happening in front of them, and I think the best way to react to what's happening in front of them.
Yeah, and there were certain situations where I felt perhaps they could have done a slightly better job with blocking things up, but it's the NFL, like that's going to happen. And this is a very good front they were going against in the Jets. But overall, I felt Waldron came with a good game plan, and they kind of got it done in an encouraging way. So right from the jump, the big thing was their ability to run the ball right on the first place, and their usage of paired tight ends, so 12 personnel, 13 personnel. So that first run that Walker had, obviously it was a 1st and 10. They motioned Lockett away, and New York actually played a lot more single high coverage than I expected. Maybe that was foolish though, because Seattle was in so many multiple tight end looks. I should have probably anticipated that, especially like against under center stuff. But this is just like toying with Jordan Whitehead here on the cutback, which ends up going for 60 yards. Now, you can't really tell much about this play from that look, but if we look at it from the end zone angle and what actually happened, the motion of Tyler Lockett from what was like a pair 3x1 trips look into 2x2 bumped the gaps over. So what was going on was 57, which is that Mosley?
Yeah.
He had the A gap, but once Lockett comes over here, because the Jets were running a middle field closed defense, Lockett going across the formation means that Alexander, who did have the B gap, he was the curl flat player on the play. Remember, we had 3 receivers away from Alexander. Now he has a 2 receiver to his side, and a good rule of thumb for a curl flat defender in general is you match up with your 2. So he is out of the box. He was removed from the box because of Lockett's motion. That left an open B gap, which then Mosley rocked back into here. Williams is that?
Mm-hmm.
He rocked back into the A gap, and then Whitehead to the pair tight ends. He had the C gap, with them playing cornerback force to the pair tight ends, and this guy having what we call the E gap. Now, that's all well and good, but with wide zone away like this, that's a very tricky assignment for the Jets defenders here. I just play around with playback speed. So you can see Walker begins his path away on the wide zone. Whitehead's here. He's trying to play off 58, his defensive end. His C gap is here though. I don't know if is that Franklin Myers?
I think that's isn't that Quinnen?
No, it is Quinnen. I couldn't believe he had such a rusty. Maybe he was a bit tired off the plane, but it's a rusty rep where he's trying to get down the line of scrimmage. He should never really get turned like this. But anyway, Whitehead's gap is here, but he got stuck outside. He's trying to play off this defensive end and clear the threat of play action, I guess. But he got stuck outside. What that meant was, and Colby Parkinson and Noah Fant did a great job handling this. Parkinson was able to climb up to Whitehead. Fant did enough with this block, and Walker, he sees the cutback potential. The front side was struggling a bit, Forsyth, but he does his job. You're running this play to get wash. It's their weak wide zone play. And then you can cut back to the pair tight ends, and they do a good job.
And that's a really good patient cutback from Walker as well. Like look how horizontal he gets while still like staying fairly square to the line of scrimmage to be able to get upfield. That's kind of what they've been missing. Well, so he's hit a few cutbacks this year that have been crazy gains, of course, but this is just a really good rep from Walker. Also from Waldron, the motion pulling the nickel into the fit, which is really what springs this. That's that's a good manipulation of solid structure here in one high. And of course, LaFleur on the other side did a lot of that to Seattle, but Seattle don't really have issues with nickel in the fit, where they had issues with it for different reasons. But still, you'd rather get a safety out of the fit and a nickel corner into it. And that's what they do here. So yeah.
Yeah. And so then what's nice about this is if we go to and Waldron's attack right, it always feels at its best when the play action layers are starting to hit a bit more. So if we go to 10:05 in the first quarter, so Seattle scored a touchdown on their first drive, and then they're now in a 2nd and 4 situation, and they come out in this pair trips look again. The Jets once more ran a single high defense, but they've got a different front going on. It's kind of like a bear-esque look, and you've even got this guy down at the line of scrimmage. But they motion Lockett away, and they have Sauce Gardner run with it from the Lockett's on the pair trip side again. You're 1, 2, 3. But then he creates the slot again. So it's the same thing Griff was talking about of, trying to either pull someone into the fit who wouldn't normally be in it, or trying to get someone out of the way. Source runs away, and they get the Jets on this play action concept. Now you'll wonder how this happened. Like, how does a guy get that open in the NFL? It was Noah Fant's big catch, one of the 4 explosives that Seattle had in this game, which is not many at all. We'll get into perhaps why they missed some of those, but why does he get so open? Well, Whitehead again is in the fit again, and his filtering of the play is in man-to-man assignment. So I think the responsibility for Whitehead is Noah Fant, and the responsibility for this guy mugged up was Colby Parkinson. Source is running with Lockett. This is man-to-man defense here. They had a deep third post safety, covering the third, in cover 1. And then maybe they're peeling on the running back here with the edges. And this guy's a rat. I don't know. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is the way that Seattle got Whitehead again. And maybe he had a disagreement with his linebacker inside over who should play Fant's route. But a big thing Seattle will do is they'll switch release guys, even in the run game. So Fant is the outside tight end, but as you see here, he runs up. Whitehead coming down, seeing this run fake. Like, if you look at Whitehead's eyes, rather than playing his man, he's looking in the backfield. Here. And by the time both of them basically play over here, and by the time Whitehead realizes it's not been handed off to Walker, Fant is, he's in oceans of space. And so there you go.
Yeah, it's I mean, the principle is if you can formationally put a corner in the run fit, then you can play action that corner, and you're kind of nullifying the coverage advantage that a corner has, say over a linebacker or something, because you're slowing their eyes down. If you can slow a player's eyes down, then it doesn't matter how fast they are, how good their coverage skills are. So that's why, like, nub and wing formations like we see here can be so damaging. And again, like you said, it's you're in a pair trips look, and then you're motioning lock it out, and you've just got to, like you said, Waldron has like layers of different combinations that he can run. Like this time it's similar formation and final distribution, but you've got the tight end wing to the boundary this time instead of to the field. So it's just layers, right? And then you're booting into the boundary as well, which is less common. So the corner is probably thinking it's wide zone weak all the way, and because that's what the tendency normally shows. It's wide zone to the field isn't as common because booting to the boundary isn't as common. So everything here is just like Waldron helping his team out, just with formation, tendency, and like you said, sequencing, layering, etc.
Yeah, and I do think that and when Griff says corner, it's because that's where Whitehead is playing, but he is a safety.
Oh, right, true.
But that's why it's man to man, because there's tight ends here and there's a nub look, which again, like, it's just playing with the mismatches. But if you see the eyes of the guys here, Williams, the other linebacker who's in man-to-man, he plays all the time for this guy he was mugged up on. Whitehead plays as though he has the first out from this bunch, which again, condensed nub pair spacing causing problems. And this guy then comes around. So a clever beater, and again, it's the same look, the exact same look as what Walker had off his wide zone carry to start the game with, just the play action variant of it, which again, that's the layers that exist in the attack when it's at its best. So Griff, the gun inside zone game was big as well. Why do you think? I mean, how does that help Walker?
Well, because inside zone, its nature is getting downhill in a hurry and kind of committing to what you see. Because the back path is more narrow, there isn't as much room for freestyling. So it kind of is forcing him into the concept of committing to what his eyes see, and just getting downhill. It's kind of his problem is he'll press gaps, but then he won't hit the gap. So this was just, I felt like they were doing everything they could to get him like playing with almost, what's the word? Like bumpers, kind of. And it worked because I thought he did really well, feeling out like that backside crease that happens with the backside, like the backside Washington inside zone. So.
Yeah. So here we have a 2nd and 9 play, which is kind of a variation of their inside zone. I know it's sorry, I should have just got the timestamp there. So 9:27 left in the third quarter. Seattle up 17-6. Ball on the Jets' 40-yard line, and again they're playing around with their with their slot elements. So their nub formation. So this is slot trips. It's a rare snap of 11 personnel actually. Again, like we said, they're mainly in 2 tight ends, so 12 personnel, and 3 tight ends, 13 personnel stuff. And what I liked about this is they knew they were going to get some kind of middle field open deal from the Jets. And so they messed with how the Jets were playing it. So if you're fitting this up from a middle field open perspective, this guy is not in the fit. He can't be because he has to be like a deep player. If he's a half, like he can play like this, or if he's a quarter, he can play like this. But because the 3 receivers detached, he needs to be away from the fit. You can't make the numbers work if you're playing middle field open. This guy's going to play over here. This guy's going to play over here. I think this is just like a vanilla cover 4 play. This guy can't be in the fit because he has this detached 2. And this guy can't be in the fit because he has a detached 1. And also, how are you going to ask these guys to, join in the fit? The guys over the trip side, it's too far for them to make a play. Now, what you could do is you could set your 3 tech over here, and then you could set your nose tackle over here, and you could slide your front in a way that alleviates the problem. But the issue the Jets have with the way they wanted to play it, and this is like, there's no perfect answer on defense, but the issue they have with playing middle field open to this look is this guy, the linebacker responsible for the B gap, was also responsible for playing this 3 receiver into the low hole, or if he ran a stick route, so just hitched up, and this guy ran out, and this guy ran deep, this guy's responsible for pushing through to that. So you can conflict him by showing a run and then having this guy bubble out, because this guy is like, do I play up in the B gap or do I play the bubble? Now, Robert Saleh's no idiot, and he understands all of this. And I am going fast, but he understands all of this. So what you do to try and help this guy out is you don't give him a B gap. Now, you could just put this guy in the B gap, but that doesn't make the football go to this guy as much as it does if you actually have the defensive end outside, spike into the B gap to then spill the ball outside to this guy, which takes time. It's aggressive, and it also naturally makes the ball bounce to where the guy you've bought time for is going. So if we play through what actually happens, Seattle does indeed bubble their detached 3 receiver Cade Johnson. And the Jets, to avoid the ball running off the shelf quickly, they have this guy read the pass set of the player and then spike downhill. But it didn't work because Seattle out-executed them. They still put this guy in a degree of conflict with pre-bubbling. Do you think this is a pure RPO, Griff, or not? I'm not so sure. Maybe like pre-snap deal.
It might have been pre-snap, or Gino made his mind up really quick because of the front look and everything.
Yeah. But this is a very good rep from the offensive line and from Gino as well. So you see they're spiking these two guys in here, and then this guy's reading the pass set and then coming up in here. This guy's falling back. And then this guy, I think he's asked,
because they're expecting inside zone, they almost want him to be able to fall. Like, they want to close off the interior bubbles and then anticipate the ball to bend back. I don't think they'd think the ball would bounce.
Yeah.
Or bang. So they're thinking they have a free hitter on the backside. It's honestly, it's a smart way to scheme trips and inside zone, and they have all your bases covered. But like you said, Seahawks just out execute.
Yeah,
Honestly,
they had a play where this guy, the spiking nose tackle, went to the A gap, and the 3 tech managed to come back around, which I think is like the extra layer of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not the worst.
And Salah likes to just throw action at you. Like, he kind of almost to an extent throws like fundamental play up front, almost out the window, and just makes up for it with just action. And this was like, even like, I thought the interior of the line, like, even though they kind of lose a block up the middle, they're more like kind of ready for it, in contrast to the 49ers.
Yeah.
Because arguably, outside of Armstead and Bosa, the Jets have they're non-stars. So like Quinnen and whoever else, like, their floor players are better than the 49ers. And Seattle blocked them better this game.
So the other thing to say with the run game, I guess, is the tight ends did pretty well. Like, they're fine. Jake Kerham has used a third tight end. Colby Parkinson might have heard me when I said that he needs to block better, because he did. Like, but they were fine. Pete Carroll praised them as a strength playing physical, and they did step it up, I think.
Yeah.
And also, Griff, the transitioning to the passing game had a lot of success in 12 personnel and 13 personnel looks.
Yep.
So
yeah, it did.
Thing...
Actually, I mean, to your point, like, it drove like most of their passing production was in 12 and 13 personnel this game.
Yeah.
Not just play action either, like pure dropbacks as well.
Yeah. So if we look at the the second passing touchdown for Gino, obviously he'd already thrown one to Colby Parkinson, but this one stands out because of how their personnel usage, I think, acted as a kind of tendency breaker for the Seahawks. So 11:47 left in the first quarter. That can't be right. Maybe it is. Anyway, it's 10:50. Yeah, the play clock's wrong. That's 14:47 in the second quarter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to come out in a 13 personnel look. So you have 3 tight ends here, and then you have Kenneth Walker in the backfield, and their single receiver is Derek Young. So every time I've seen them in this before with this personnel, but also this grouping, like these actual guys on the field, basically Young in 13 personnel looks, they run it because Young's a blocker, and they rarely passed.
Right.
But here they break tendency and they utilize under center drop back game, which is something we've called for, and they run just a simple like stick variation concept where it's into the zone hole. They got cover 3, where it worked. Like, everything got open, and well, not everything, but Tyler Mabry's little sit down route got open. This guy, the whole point of cover of this stick route into cover 3 is this curl flat defender has this guy out here, or he has this guy in here, and he expands, and he's expanded enough, and Gino throws this perfectly. Here's the hook defender of the cover 3. Gino throws it perfectly to Mabry, very accurate to thread this in. They have the leverage they wanted, and it's a touchdown.
And stick is honestly just really difficult to defend in the low red zone, because it hits so quickly, and the check down, like the running back running into the short hook. That's pretty significant conflict for the interior defenders, depending on what coverage it is. But like, yeah, there's a natural weak spot there, and they hit it.
Yeah, because to your point, Griff, like if this guy had camped on Maybury, then the ball and the inside, the stick route, then the out route to Young is a touchdown because the corner plays are off it. He has an impossible task with the way that the Jets play this. Like, that's a score.
Yeah, that's a touchdown. And that guy's not, or even Gardner, he's not tackling Derek Young right there.
No. So there you go. Now, should we deal with the lull period of the game? So I just wanted to
sure, why not?
I just wanted to say the third down stuff, which was bad in the second half, there was kind of a perfect storm, but the encouraging thing is most of it wasn't really Geno. So the 6:31 in the third quarter, they have DK Metcalf just missed it on 3rd and 7, the back shoulder throw, if you remember, where DK got his hands on it, but he couldn't get his feet in. But what preceded that was DK got pushed out. Remember, he had like 2nd and 3, but then he got backwards and it went to 3rd and 7. Should have been 3rd and 3 really that they were in. And the first down play for that was a dropped or slightly behind, but Parkinson should have adjusted to it really. RPO throw, which they missed. It was open. Then the second time, 4:53 left in the third quarter, they tried to run it twice in an and one situation. So 2nd and 1 and 3rd and 1, and they couldn't get a yard. And that was some clever stunting going on from the Jets. But that's the one that the offensive line will be upset about. Then 13:09 in the fourth quarter, 2nd and 6, they tried a wheel route to Noah Fant, got the right look. He couldn't haul it in. It was perfectly placed. 3rd and 6, tried a wheel route to Dallas. He thought he was open. He ended up not winning his route, so it wasn't open. So again, fine throws, it's the right throw again. 9:45 in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 7. After Geno was almost intercepted, throwing like a bounce. It just bounced before the linebacker could pick it off, but he was blitzed into the teeth of the bootleg. But that's the one where DK dropped the ball in cover 1 on the 3rd and 7. Then he was open. It was a perfect throw. 6:25 in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 20. Good luck with that. What preceded that was they had a run pass option, which Geno fumbled because he was bashed by Kenneth Walker, and it caused him to panic, and then it slipped out his hand. And then 2:40 in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 9. They got into 3rd and 9. They ran a toss into the teeth of the defense, which got them into a loss situation. And then the actual 3rd and 9, they had a snag concept, which was covered up by good defensive play, and they had to check it down, and they didn't pick it up. So all those things, Griff, not really.
Yeah. Again, my mind goes, if the O-line if they're getting the O-line play that they had for, I don't know, the middle, really from that Falcons game on, up until about probably the Panthers game. If they were playing like that this game, then they would have put up a lot more points, I think, because there were looks downfield opportunities that they just didn't quite connect on. And then again, they didn't really have Lockett for this game. So
yeah. So an example of that, 2:13 left in the first quarter, 2nd and 10. Seattle comes out in this double stacks look, and they call up a shot play to Kate Johnson, which is like a slant go route. You can see that the Jets were kind of hesitant about this. They didn't really know what they're doing against this look. They knew what they're doing, but they had to talk things through because it's a wide stack. And it's empty as well, which I don't think we've seen Seattle do this from empty before. I think they've had a guy in the backfield. Gino adjusts the protection. He does a good job adjusting the protection, by the way. We'll see that. But Cade Johnson is open on the sluggo. Like he gets this guy throttling down, and he's open. That's a touchdown. But unfortunately, the protection had a bit of an issue, which is going to happen in the NFL. Gino correctly identified that they were bringing this guy tried to drop the guy off Gino's left, tried to act like he was dropping out, but he was actually coming, and so they slid to the right side. Gino also told Tyler Lockett that he was the hot guy, but unfortunately the protection couldn't quite hold up. So Gino scrambled out, found Lockett on the run, as is so often the case. Lockett finding the hole in the coverage for Gino, and that worked. So what goes on with the protection? Well, Blythe just has a tough rep. I think he gets tripped.
Getting bull rushed by Quentin Williams.
Yeah, he gets stood on by by Phil Haynes. And so that tripped him up, which doesn't help. So Cade Johnson doing good on his sluggo route, but unfortunately he couldn't quite get it to him. And then another play I'd say was a good one to look at is yes. So 1:16 in the second quarter, 1st and 10, Seattle up 17-6. Come out in this 11 personnel doubles look. The Jets are showing straight up, like this looks like cover 4. Like this guy looks like he's coming in the hash. Just the contours of the defense, it looks like 4. And Seattle has the perfect shot play for 4, where they run like a really deep double posts concept, something they've enjoyed. And the idea is that this quarter safety drops, takes the first post. This guy's going to play with outside leverage, especially against like well, it's not really a cut split, but these two are tight-ish. So his outside leverage, he can't cover the outside post in one-on-one. This guy's come down onto this post, and you throw the touchdown. Now, in real time, this was a play I felt Gino should have stepped up on. He gets sacked, just a little spoiler. But having watched it back, I'm not sure he really could have stepped up. But it's just one of those where with slightly better protection, you probably get the shot downfield, but the protection just didn't hold up for it.
Agree. If he hitches up here, the timing doesn't work out, and he probably puts it in the back of the end zone. You can see him trying to load up. Like it's because, I mean, they're 30 yards out.
Forsyth got bull rushed pretty good.
Yeah, that too. I didn't even think about that. You're right.
He can't really step up into the lap of Forsyth. And we'll see it from the end zone angle as well. But real quick, let's just go through the coverage downfield. So you can see Cade Johnson's gun 3 drop. Yeah. Cade Johnson's kind of occupying the safety. He's trying to split the distance, but at a certain point, you have to make a decision, especially if you're not going to match it downfield with your quarter flat player. He's just zoned off here. So you can see he's trying to push it over. He held his hand up. He's trying to push it over here, but that can't happen. That may have been a bust, actually.
Like this is when the release motion needs to start for the timing to work. So if he hitches, that throws off, and he probably either has to throw a shorter ball or a longer ball.
Yeah.
And a shorter ball for the timing to work out, but that might erase the separation. Then a longer ball, probably you're risking not getting it in the end zone still.
Yeah.
So.
And Gino ordinarily, I think, he could probably step up here, but I mean, you can't see anything at that point. It's going to get tipped. Like it's just not there. Yeah, so kind of a perfect storm of Forsyth getting bull rushed, so shrinking the room for Gino to step up, and Cross, he's not necessarily beat, he's just had been rushed around the arc.
And it's like right at that gray area of 9 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plays before where Gino stepped up here. And you know what? Maybe he should have abandoned it, but he had the right look downfield, so he's trying to have faith in his protection holding up. That's why obviously the blind side's so important, because he can see all of this and it's all looking fine, his other protection, but he can't see cross, and so he's just having faith in his rookie tackle, and it just didn't quite happen. Yeah. This is a good end zone angle, because you can see how tight this gets for Gino if we play around with the speed here. I mean, maybe he could step up slightly, but I don't know. Probably one step, but I don't think the timing of the play was there really.
Yeah.
So that's like quite a few of the shot plays have like not clicked for those kinds of reasons. Protection, or the guys that were catching those balls aren't catching those balls anymore. Like Gino hasn't. The big news is Gino, like, I think there's a discussion about his game and whether he should be paid or not. You know, and I get that like getting a good rookie contract quarterback is so attractive because you suddenly have loads more money, but like Gino hasn't regressed. Like maybe he has from a production standpoint, but from the tape each week, he's not regressed. He's still the same player. He's not suddenly turned into a pumpkin, you know.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the underlying like subjective metrics still indicate a pretty solid, I mean, clearly top 10 performer. Like, I mean, I'm a little suspect of them just as a rule, but when a lot of them are lining up, like on target rate, downfield, you know, catchable rate, his success rate is still top 10, you know, even if the other like efficient, like EPA metrics aren't. That's because the explosives aren't hitting. Like this is a game right here where the process was there for explosives, but the results weren't, from the quarterback play anyway. So
yeah.
And also, like, again, it cleanly correlates with protection regression. So and if the question is, well, what if their protection's bad again next year? Is Gino good enough to overcome that? What are the chances the protection is bad next year? I mean, as opposed to being good next year, I feel like it's more likely it's good because Cross and Lucas are going to be 1 year older, and year 1 to year 2 progressions for tackles are typically pretty positive for the ones that turn out well anyway.
Yeah, and you're hoping that you upgrade the interior, like the weak point on the interior, and you should be able to add some complementary interior offensive linemen and whatnot.
Right.
So, are we done with the offense, Griff, or is there anything else you'd like to add? Any other plays you'd like to get to?
No, I think that that wraps it up.
Yeah, should say DJ Dallas was a nice change of pace.
He was running hard and fast.
220 pounds, like that's pretty cool. Gino's process in the quick game as well, I guess, deserves some compliments, and this is sort of where the best parts of Gino's game show up. So if we just get to it here, so this is a rare snap of play action quick game, which they kind of sprinkle in. It's rather than running an RPO, I think they're just like, we're not going to do that because they call downfield. Gino's smart. So this is 2nd and 7, 7:29 left in the third quarter. And you have the same kind of doubles look. And Gino's just stays poised. They pull a guard to try and sell this. He knows he's got cover 4 because if it's cover 2, then the guy here attacks downhill on the bubble, and then the idea is that you throw it in behind to this kind of window. But with this corner, DJ Reed actually sinking off on the play, not taking up the screen, he's thinking cover 4, I think. Although this still might be cover 2. But anyway, the point is Gino can't see DK getting open into this window because DJ Reed doesn't take the bait. So rather than poo his pants, which I mean that would never be good, he just comes to this side where it is definitely cover 4, and it essentially plays out like off man at this point, and he finds Treadwell on the comeback, and hits him. So not necessarily quick game, but I mean it is quick game. But the fact Gino's doing a full field read there,
Yeah.
2 different coverage concepts, I think that is cover 2 at the bottom.
The pressure's coming hot too.
Yeah, he just
So
stands
even though like it's not a lot going on here, he's still quarterbacking. Like
yeah,
he's
that's why I liked it. Yeah,
right. Like there's process here that in a better environment the results will follow.
yeah, it's
And
Rapon Treadwell, like
yeah. So
he gets bashed
and,
around.
and the reason why, another thing, like in the drop back game, it wasn't very extensive. Mostly it was quick game, was because they were running a lot of 12 personnel, and they're not going to, like you said, they're not going to trust Laquan Treadwell to be running 15-yard dig routes and out routes and everything. So
yeah, good point.
Although I'd like to see them actually use Tariq Young a little bit, like really use him, just for the hell of it. Because I mean, he was the most exciting receiver in preseason. He was running a lot of like actual routes. So
yeah, I think his opportunity should come. I'm not sure why they haven't really. I guess it must just be learning the playbook fully. Like Treadwell acclimatizing so fast, there's just got to be he's just a good learner. Or maybe Young's just so unready as a route runner, given where he's come from, but he's just learning all those details as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so then a last quick game thing, last thing on the offense is 2nd and 6, 3:24 left in the second quarter. This was great from Gino as well, with a lot going on with him. So this looks like clear kind of too high defense, but could be an instance where this looks like it could be a hole where this guy can rotate down into and play cover 3 buzz. But you're thinking it's cover 2.
And familiar formation again too.
I think this is 4, but with Salah it's difficult sometimes to tell if it's adjusted 6, but I think it's 4. It plays out like 4 anyway.
He coaches palms differently too.
He does?
Yeah, where it's really like it's really just quarters, but they have the corner just looking to jump like bubbles.
Oh.
But they still call it palms. But that allows the quarter flat defender to get depth though.
Yeah.
So they can kind of cheat and get layers while still playing quarters on the outside.
Wow. Yeah, so you can see Gino opens to this side and his stick combination, and this curl defender plays it real good. He's up in here. When Gino's back foot hits, this is somewhat questionable a window to throw into. Like this could be 6 on a different day. If we just roll it through here, you see Gino looked away from it already, but like this guy's making a pick. Like Gino knows what's up. This guy's jumping that. So Gino's already started moving over to this combination where essentially, for all intents and purposes, is man-to-man with Parkinson over the middle, matched up on Sauce Gardner, and then Kenneth Walker out the backfield, matched up on a linebacker. Remember, it's 2nd and 6, so just stay alive here, take what's there, which is what Gino does. Protecting the football, and he finds it to Walker with a lot of pressure on him, gets whacked, and Walker breaks tackle, rewards him, and they get the first down off it.
Yep.
Again, like this is a full field quick game lead. Like it shouldn't be this difficult, but it is.
Sick glance into like a shallow wheel thing, or shallow swing
Yeah.
route.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean, this is Gino keeping them on schedule, keeping them alive. Because I mean, look at that, Quinnen Williams coming right down the gut.
yeah, and we should say like this is not easy for Blythe. Like he is he's in a pretty bad situation where they're sliding their protection. It's 5-man pass pro. In this kind of instance, like Gino has to make him right. Like that, Blythe's thinking he's going to get help from Lewis, but because they're sliding this way and Quinnen just beats him across his face, Blythe's just overset slightly. But Quinnen's so fast, he takes his shot. Kind of very difficult to deal with. I mean, Quinnen's got longer arms. He's like the better athlete. Like, I don't, there's not much your center can do in this situation against this kind of player. But Gino, makes Blythe okay. He survives.
Right.
Okay, so that's the offense dealt with. Again, if you're in the chat, don't be afraid to ask questions or say, hey, stop looking at this play. I'd like to know what happened on this play. Right, now to the defense. So, Griff, what happened with the defense? Was it really good or?
So, yeah, I mean, the pass defense was really good all game long. Mike White had a horrible game efficiency-wise. 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. Should have been about 2 more interceptions. Should have been 4 total. The run defense, their average was like, what was it, 5.6 yards per carry or something. EPA-wise, though, because considering where those runs came, given the down and distance and the situation and everything, they were like they had the 13th best run defense for the week. But then if you just look at quarters 2 through 4, because really most of those explosive runs happen in the first quarter. From then on, I mean, the Jets in the run game pretty much get shut out, and like their success rate is like 20%. So that means every 5 runs, or 1 in every 5 runs, is going for 4 yards on 1st and 10 if it's 1st and 10. So they're just not getting anything. So early on they kind of had these they were kind of getting misaligned, and whether it was their nickel over front or their base kind of under front that they're running. And they even had a 2 6-yard runs in bear that were a little sketchy.
Should we talk about the egregious ones then?
Well, we can. I wonder, just in the interest of time, if we wanted to spend more time on the positive, though.
Well, we have like call, how long do you have? About half an hour, right?
Yeah, I've got about half an hour.
Plus a preview. Let's do one bad run.
Okay.
So this is a very early play. This is 13:02 in the first quarter. Pete Carroll mentioned how they had to adjust some things. This run goes for 22 yards, and it's like, to Griff's point about like being misaligned, like misassigned. It just doesn't make sense. And on the broadcast, this didn't really make sense either. So they're in the over G front. See the 4 down guys. And then, as Griff alluded to in the offensive section, LaFleur's pretty good at pulling guys into the run fit. So like Seattle did. So this guy going across the formation with Seattle in a cover 3 look pulls Kobe Bryant into the run fit. So Kobe Bryant was matching up on the 2, but now he has the B gap. And Brooks, who did have the B gap, has the A gap. And Barton, who did have the A gap, has the C gap. And the run cuts backs. It hits front side and goes for a similar problem to what the Jets kind of had when Walker cut that run back. So what doesn't really make sense, here's the technique of Jordan Brooks, right, Griff? I don't
understand it
to do this,
because they're in years past, if he has a front side A gap and he's stacked up with the center, pre-snap, which he is, although his momentum's kind of taking him backside. He would aim for the front side shoulder of the center and speed rip it, or at least kind of like play almost like a one gap technique where you get like your inside hand on the sternum and then outside hand like on the outside arm, so that he can play. But he is purposefully playing this like he's trying to stack the center and then work front side, like shed the block. But using that kind of technique against stretch or zone doesn't make sense to me, because like that makes sense for like duo or inside zone or like downhill runs. But this is a technique that is different this year that they're asking the linebackers to use to engage blocks, even when they're gapped out, when they're one high defense. And I just don't understand. Like it defies like physics in terms of it being a disadvantage for them. So
I don't get why he like falls back too far. I guess because it's 3x1 that they create, but like he falls back so far, like he's still falling back even with. Like, did he think it had been handed off? I don't. He's falling back so
for the
far.
jet, like he
Yeah,
actually thinks the jet is,
which
because
he
he's
did have
aligned.
issues with against the Rams.
Right. Right. So it's a bizarre play, and it's been a theme this year
Like why?
from
Just
all
why?
the second level players, really.
Like why stack the guard? Does he think that Barton's going to be able to come over?
Or guard, not center. Yeah, I was saying
Yeah,
center.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he thinks if I don't know.
But yeah. So Kobe Bryant does a good job. Like he shows up in his B gap up here. But the problem is Brooks just gets too head up on the guard. He probably didn't expect Woods to throw it into his lap so much. But yeah, and that's how 22-yard runs happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you promised me positives, Griff.
I did. So Pete kind of, I was trying to find out what he was getting after it. Pete said when they made some adjustments, he was talking about like technical adjustments, like minor ones. And the only thing I could really see that was different was like when they were in that over front, that over G front, so with a 2I and a 3. He was kind of letting the 3 technique play like more fast. So like at the 637 timestamp that I put in the notes, Matty, Quentin Jefferson, instead of getting hands on the guard, he just kind of swims and tries to be penetrative on the backside instead of playing technique and playing slow.
Which
And I think that
they've talked about trying to penetrate more at times, haven't they? So that would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Quentin Jefferson can't play. If Jefferson beats you, it's rare that someone like him is going to win with technique and play slow and just kind of choke you out. When this is your personnel on the line, it's 1st and 10 under center, and you're playing, you know, an over front, right? A nickel over front with 4 men on the line of scrimmage. It's not 5. So they are not those kind of guys that can just kind of bleed you out. They have to get going, and they have to leverage the speed advantage, the quickness advantage. So this is
the
the point
exact
in the
same
game.
run which went for 22 yards.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And look at Brooks on this one.
He stays like he plays it right.
Right. It's bizarre. And I wonder, like, okay, well, is it the alignments though? So, because he goes from like a 40 to a 20, his alignment, like stacking the tackle to stacking the guard, and that lets him fall into the A gap more.
That's what makes sense though. Like,
also, okay, so to the point of letting him play aggressive, because letting, like, say, Jefferson play aggressive, because Brooks is so spaced, that forces the guard to leave sooner, to flow faster, to go get him. Which allows Jefferson to swim like the way that he does. So it's kind of the big picture all coming together here. Now, that said, they are kind of screwed if this run goes to the field, because how is Brooks supposed to get into that A gap from behind? Like if they run to the right here, Brooks will have to pursue hard to get there.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, so They shut it down. Brooks is where it's supposed to be. Jefferson's there. Miles Adams does an all right job as the nose. There is another one where they started scheming again, like the concept, the theme is action, speed, leveraging the quickness that you have. So at the 24-minute timestamp, we've got a pirate on the backside, and then even more excitingly on the front side of the play, to the nose side, they run an exchange between Nwosu and Cody Barton. So they're just closing off interior bubbles. So like if you're at 2nd and 6 and they're under center, you're trying to like live in this world for the advantages, which the advantages would be edge rush angles. Really, if you want to live in this to defend the run, you want to defend the run well enough so that you can maintain that advantage in pass rush. When it is a pass, then you need to have you can't just be static in this front. You have to, again, action and stuff. So you got to scheme a little bit within your alignment. So on the backside, you see LJ Collier, who's the 3 technique. He slants into the A gap. Daryl Taylor slants from the C, or from the D into the C. And ideally you'd want him in the B gap, but that's fine. You're just trying to condense it so that Tanner Muse can kind of fall back if the ball bends. And then front side, so you have a front side bubble, and this is definitely a formation where you'd see weak wide zone and try to hit that bubble. They close that off by Nwosu slanting into that B gap.
Yeah, do you think that's Nwosu just playing fast, or?
I mean, it could be. It could be like a, he and Cody might have an understanding, and it might be game plan. Like if you have a bubble and you're to the boundary, that's
right.
A pretty heavy run indicator.
Yeah.
So and Nwosu is so savvy, you let him have.
Great play from Cody.
Yeah, and a really good play from Cody to recognize it and fly off of Nwosu, right? This is how. So when the Seahawks when they played this front and defended the run, the second best run defense in the league, and I think 2015, or they were 10th at 2015, but they almost based out of nickel over and played cover 3 behind it all day long. So Michael Bennett was where Nwosu is right now. And Bennett handled that bubble all year long as playing a 5 technique or even wider.
And he played fast like this, right?
He'd play fast, but he could also play through the tackle because he was 280, because he could, because he's a freak. Nwosu probably can't play through the tackle here and close off the bubble, but he can play fast and sudden. And Cody's smart. And look, Cody's clean. When Cody's clean, he looks, and his eyes are in the right place. He looks like a pretty good linebacker. So, so this is everything coming together, and this is them having answers, right? So,
yeah,
it's another good example.
I wonder if do they call this because it's a slot formation? Do they do it because they're in man coverage? I don't know.
Well, so here's the other thing. If the reason for the pirate might be the common pairing with zone to the boundary is boot to the field, right? So if you're slanting backside, that allows the weak hook player, the field hook player, who's Tanner Muse is technically the strong hook player, but he's the field hook player. He'd be the backside hook player on a boot play. As his A gap now is backside, that means he can hold his width for the run and hold his width for the pass. So his run fit and pass responsibilities now kind of align, and they're not in conflict with one another. Defending the run helps him defend the pass, and vice versa. So even though I think he does push with this because he's just reading hats are low, and he's correctly diagnoses the backfield action, it's a run play. But if it wasn't, and he also read that correctly, he can hang back and push to that hash and then to the numbers if it's a boot.
Well, here, because it's here with it made man to man, the same thing happens with Abram, right? Because Abram's in man on the tight end. So I think it's man. They run with it.
Oh yeah, you're right. This is man. Yeah. Look at the bottom.
Well, it's the same point then for Abram. He doesn't have to worry about.
Right.
He can just play outside on it.
Right. So he doesn't feel like he has to.
So if this guy does a laid down flat thing, he can just play it.
Mm-hmm. Or if that route gets upfield and bends or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. What do we have now, Griff?
All right. Do we have another one?
One more. Make it a good one.
All right.
Well, hold on. Actually,
we have a blast from the pasture. Or should we
Taylor
go into coverage?
Taylor Long supported the pod. They wanted to know how the defense changed with Brooks in versus out. Like, did it change? To me, it looks like they were just in passing down situations largely. But like, I mean, Tanner Muse is in here. Like, did it change?
I don't think their structure changed. What I did notice though was because Cody kicks into Mike, and now Tanner would have to be your overhang, like your slot defender. It's like the weak side of the formation. There was a hesitance to play cover 2 to his side where he would have to carry a route. So they, and in the same instances and formations earlier in the game where they would have had Cody carry. So the easiest way to do that is to play cover 2 the way they structured themselves. So they pretty much played cover 4 whenever they formed a slot to Tanner Muse's side, regardless of who the threat was. So that was something I noticed. So the lack of Brooks makes them less flexible as like a downstream thing. One, because you're losing Brooks, but then secondly, you're also losing Cody at will. So now you can do less things with Will. That said, Tanner Muse is fast. It's just there's an art to playing the coverage out there. I mean, there was a rep where a couple of reps with Abram matching the same tight end up the seam, and he kind of loses ground a little bit for the same coverage, same technique, like in big nickel. And like sometimes I'll be watching Cody carrying these seam routes. So I'm like, was it really that impressive? But then we have Abram, a safety, doing it, and Cody looks better than him against the same receiver tight end. So there is a little bit of a variable there, but they can definitely manage that and not make it matter too much.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah,
that's a good question too from Taylor.
It's a great question. It does. It will impact the defense as well down the line because like Cody is not as fast as Jordan, so there's situations where your check may become slightly more predictable. Say if they put a fast receiver at the 3 spot, where a linebacker in certain coverages would be tasked with running downfield with them. Seattle would mix that up and split that with Diggs having to cover that from the backside safety spot, and then with Brooks having to cover that from the either the middle hook or could be from the weak hook or cover 3. Although we don't do that, that doesn't happen anymore. But
well, what did they do last year when they wanted to handle 3 differently? They would, from certain looks, they would play Tampa 2 invert, so Bobby wouldn't have to. Now, I mean, Cody's faster than Bobby, but at this point, anyway.
Yeah,
but still,
yeah. The point being, Cody is you're probably more likely to see ways to make that not a thing, whereas with Brooks, you feel more comfortable about it because Cody ain't quite as fast. It's basically that simple. So, yeah. Okay. Coverage. Give me a good coverage, and then we'll get to the preview.
All right. Let's go.
And real quick, while you're doing that, same kind of defensive looks with like the usage of under and stuff. They're slowly trying to get Abram more involved. They fire zoned a bit in like a nice way. But Mike White missed so much stuff, which I don't think other quarterbacks miss, that it is somewhat, you don't know how much of this is. You want to see him do it against a better opponent. And they did against Kansas City for a lot of that game. So 20 what, sorry?
52.
20-52.
28. Excuse me, 28-52.
I should listen. Okay, here we go. Football, baby. 12:45 left in the fourth quarter.
So this is Abrams' dropped interception. But what's so great about this play is this is what they hit against. This is what the Chiefs ran almost an identical play. They ran an identical play, but from slightly different formation combination and motion combination, which is why it's a little bit easier for Barton to detect what's happening here as the field hook defender. In the context, Brooks was the field hook defender, and in the last game against the Chiefs. But so their trips to the field, and they end up getting, I think, like a final 2x2 distribution with the running back. kind of in the down or maybe releasing through the middle. But what's so good about it is that as Muse is drained out of his hook to go play the check down, Barton is able to push all the way to the boundary to make this ball be thrown in the last possible window, almost gets a hand on it himself,
Oh,
and allows Abram as the hang defender to make a play. Now, the reason why Barton is able to get a beat on this is because the motion pulls him into the gap that, or what is that? Is his new gap the A gap? But it pulls him all the way to the boundary hash as the field hook defender. So that probably helps him make this play. Otherwise, if he was closer to his original alignment, like near like the middle of the logo, Mike White can probably get this ball off a little bit earlier. But it's still a really good drop because from Barton, because he's basically doing the job of two people here with Muse out of the picture. So because this is supposed to be 4 under spacing, not 3 under spacing.
Yeah, well, and you should say that Muse isn't busting here. This is how Seattle now plays cover 3. So, as far as we're concerned, right? So this guy chips and releases. This guy runs the deep over. This guy runs a wheel. This guy runs a post. I might have got that the wrong way around. I don't think I have. And this guy comes up, and then that's what's down. Oh no, he goes in the flat, right? Maybe
yeah, he
Muse
does
does.
go to the flat.
Yeah.
Well, it's with it being 2x2, he has the liberty to hug it a little bit more. If it was 3x1,
Well, that's how they seem to play it, right? Like,
I agree. I think he is. I mean, I wouldn't fault him here, but like that 49er or the Chiefs game, Barton is in Muse's shoes and he hugs it, but they get a 3x1 final distribution, so it's kind of tripped. So you'd rather him stack his zone more because it's 3x1 in the Chiefs game. Brooks can't push the way that Cody is because he's wanting to hold his width in case he
for the strong
bender
hook.
across the field as
Yeah.
the weak hook. Because he doesn't.
Yes.
In case of the bender bends back across the field.
Yeah.
Cody knows he doesn't have that final 3 threat, so he knows he has go wheel to the boundary, and then he can watch quarterback eyes and stuff. Because he plays both windows on his backside.
Yeah, cover 3 is so inconsistent though. I mean, we don't know the rules like we did for the last one, but like, why is Mike Jackson zoning off to this now? I don't get why you wouldn't carry that, especially when you're playing it like this.
Unless he thinks like it's a big corner out or something, like smash.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's just inconsistent.
But yeah, it is. But ultimately, I just think it's a really great play from Barton. It's really good zone dropping him. I mean, the depth he gets, him understanding, the being able to put the picture together just based off of some initial indicators.
Yeah. And to be fair from Abram, this is pretty clever because ordinarily as the cold flat player in this sort of defense, you would match your wheel route. But I guess he has the recognition to know that Woolen has this. Maybe he gets to, I don't know, he's like semi beat down the seam, but he makes the play in the end. We don't know.
Yeah, and I wonder if they'd rather have Woolen midpoint or really just squeeze the.
Yeah, that's how they'd have done it in the past to this kind of split.
And then Abrams just plays high on the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, in the past, Woolen would be here.
Like the new one.
And Abram would have pushed here, right? Or they just play it like man-to-man.
Right.
But yeah, this kind of like fake one rat spacing doesn't make sense to me, but it's a heck of a play from fake one rat, but with this corner zoning.
Right.
Even though this guy chipped, he's not like an immediate threat. I don't know. Anyway, good coverage from Barton. Great coverage. And in your opinion, is Mike White slightly late? I think he is. I think he doesn't know what he's doing. Like I don't think.
Yeah, but then if you plot like right here, look at the route relative to Barton. Barton makes this really hard on him.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't think as soon as Muse comes down, he doesn't think anything between the hash and the numbers is a problem, or should be a problem. Like I don't think LaFleur thinks anything would be a problem between the hash and the numbers if Muse comes down. but
Yeah.
Barton immediately starts bending and pushing for width toward the boundary numbers. Like that's just like elite spot dropping doesn't look like that big of a deal if when you're watching it, but it's because it's like what is informing their decision making. Barton is kind of what goes into it, not the actual action itself.
Yeah. And what's also cool from him is how he glances to his right, our left as the camera, to check what's going on with that wheel. And as soon as he gets post wheel over this side, like he's gained that intelligence in his drop. He knows there's nothing from his right, our left, that's going to threaten him. So he knows it's probably going to be something special play action coming his way from the other side, which is how he's able to keep getting depth and melt with the quarterback eyes into this window.
Yeah.
And
he almost makes the play himself too.
He did, yeah. Okay, so any questions? And if not, we'll go to the preview of the big game, Griff. Okay. Is rookie defensive player of the year still Woolens after this week, in your opinion? I mean, it should be, right? I mean, certain players have a bit more of a presence, like they're more vocal, and certain players have more of a resume before the season, like their first round picks.
Right.
So the Source is probably going to win it and he's got the New York market as well. But right. I think Tariq Woolen should feel aggrieved about that. And I think also, you can use it as motivation.
Sure. Why not? It would have been, I think it's like 60-40 Gardner right now. But if Woolen pulls down his interception and if TK catches that one ball, that one fade ball that he had on him, you can imagine how this game could have gone very lopsided in Woolen's favor, and then how that might have affected people's perception if Woolen has a great game and Gardner gives up a couple of big catches, which almost happened. Now Woolen himself almost gave up a couple of catches too, so it goes both ways. But that would have been spicy.
Gardner is much more. You can tell he's played corner more often at a high level. Like that's basically the difference.
Yeah.
But Tariq is much more. Well, not much more. But he has more glitzy things. Now, 50-11. I've seen your comment about check this tweet, but I can't see the link to the tweet.
Yeah, I haven't been seeing a tweet.
So
sorry.
It sounds like a great tweet, but if you tag me on Twitter, Griff, other questions? No. Right. Okay, Griff. As 50-11 tries to get us to that tweet, the Seahawks play a must-win game if they're hoping to make the playoffs against the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams are 5-11. Seattle losing this game would be upsetting. However, Griff, Sean McVay has always stayed on top, in the main, of maybe one exception, of Pete Carroll. And Baker Mayfield playing quarterback for them. And he's actually playing quarterback okay. They're back on their boot under center stuff. Does Seattle lose this game?
No, they win 30-8.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Mayfield's average depth of target in his last game was 3 yards?
Yes.
I mean, they have no receivers. You shouldn't be giving up anything in the passing game to them. I don't know what happened with the Broncos.
I do.
What happened?
The Broncos aren't very good.
They're supposed to be good on defense.
Yeah, they were, but the problem was they kept turning the ball over on offense. Yeah,
that's true. They defended the passing game well last time against Wolford. They defended the run well as the run from the running backs, but they did not defend well where the runs from the receivers. So I imagine that will be a feature again. So hopefully they have answers for that. They defended the run from the running backs well, even when they were in this nickel over front, right? So combined with the extra, movements and stuff, hopefully the scheme continues, the movements continue, at least if they're going to commit to this thing, which still kind of confuses me. But if they're going to make it work, they're making it work. Hopefully they continue that. I think they can, I don't know. I think they can leverage crossing routes. Mayfield, again, really doesn't have anyone to throw to here. So they should win. I just feel like they win matchups here, especially the way like Jefferson's playing, Miles Adams are playing. They should beat their guards. Their guards aren't very good. So.
Yeah. So your 30-8 prediction is bold, but then again, Seattle are 6-point favorites heading into this game, and the under-over line is at 41.5. So you're going under, and you're going Seattle covering. And I'm going to say that I think Seattle probably win 31-7. I think that's what I've got my mind on.
All right, suit yourself, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, guess we're done. Thanks everyone for listening.
I guess that's it. Yeah.
Thanks for joining live. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, 5-star reviews, comments. Thank you for the donation, Chris. Appreciate that. Good to see the same names here again as well. Really appreciate you tuning in live. If you are listening, we appreciate you too. 5-star reviews, please. And follow the Twitter at Seattle Overload. Follow Griffin at CMikes Spin Move. Follow me at Matty F. Brown. Let us know how we can do this better, because this is a uniquely formatted show. The other two are actual podcasts. This is everything. So we're there's a bit of trial and error. So yeah, but I think it's going well. We think it's going well. We're getting there. So thank you, and have a good evening, have a good morning, have a good night, have a good day, have a good weekend when it comes, and enjoy the Seahawks game. We'll be live after that game if the Seahawks lose, which they won't. So after that game, once the Seahawks have won 31-7, we obviously have the Sunday Night Football matchup. We have the Denver game to react to. Hopefully the Chargers don't rest their players, but they probably will. And hopefully the Packers lose to the Lions, and then the Seahawks are in the playoffs, and we're very happy, and we can have a party all together live on Sunday. So could be, hopefully, should be a late one. And we should also, a quick update, Damar Hamlin, great news today that, he's able to communicate with his friends and family, and seems like more positive signs coming out. So talked about that in yesterday's show. Big positive signs that, as the doctor say, neurological positive signs. So very good. Right. Thank you, everyone. See ya.